The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, let me know you can hear me, please. You'll see my screen in a second. Gonna figure out this GoToWebinar this week. And I'll tell you something, Lisa, by the time you're out of here in February, we're gonna have chat. Okay? That's the deal I'm gonna make you. I am gonna work on that. It's a high priority. Okay? I hope I can do it because I have so many things I'm working on. I want it too. I hope you realize that. It's just been so difficult to just get the time. So I just got to tell, there's a lot of people here early. I'm going to go with the regular Hira today. This is the weekly Hira. Everybody should have received it if you're a trade room member. There's some good trades. I'm going to stay up tonight. I'm going to do the RBA tonight. If you want to stay up, I'll take a nap or something. But I noticed that Jay is doing it as a breakout. And one of the reasons I don't like to do the RBA trade is because I think it's a breakout and Jay always chooses a trap trade. And it's always at a weird time too. Sometimes it's at midnight. It just kills me for the next day. I'm not 23 years old anymore. I'm 30. So it makes me tired. I don't want to be exhausted because then I can't trade. But it's 10:30 until we go back. I think to they go back to daylight savings or whatever. But just to let you know, we're going to trade that. And then my testing of trade balance and retail sales was a breakout. Jay wanted to do it as a trap, and we talked about it, and he reluctantly said, okay, let's try it as a breakout. But it has been the times they traded together, it worked as a breakout. It wasn't a trap trade. So I don't mind doing the trap trade. And I wouldn't mind if Jay would make two hires. If he feels something is a trap, but testing also shows it works as a breakout, because there are a lot of trades that are both. They can be both. And then just know that Thursday, I am not ever in the trade room Thursday nights. I'm not around. Okay, I do a charity thing every Thursday night, so there will be no trade room. He goofed and put a star next to it. There will not be a trade room. But the trade rooms are advertised anyway. You know where they are. It's in your email. What's going on with the yen? Are they going to kill this trade for us right now? Oh, it's the open. That is quite a move. It's Monday too. It's Monday. Steve, are you trading that? Let's let things calm down. Plus, my charts are spread apart pretty well. So you don't want to let the spread of your charts make you crazy. But that's what Ninja says is the normal spread. Okay. Albert showed me how to use the ruler. Divide, what is it, 80 by 5? 16 ticks. Is that right? That was a 16 tick open. You take the ruler, you take the Y value. Okay. It's 80. Divide it by 5 for the yen, and that gives you your amount of ticks, I believe. So is 5 into 80 16? 5 with 3 carried over is 6. Yep, that's what it looks like. So that's a pretty decent move. We're thinking about the one-click range trade for the openers, for opens. It's just a question of time. I want to give you all the tools. Maybe JOBB won't be able to do it all the time. But I did want to test the range. I did want to test the range trade today, the one-click range trade, because we have a 1030 trade on the Nasdaq that The NASDAQ has a 1030. It just, the NASDAQ works at 1030 as a trade, as a discretionary breakout, one way or the other. It's just a very popular trade. There's a couple other trades. I'm going to make a lot of changes over the next month or two. The biggest change I'm going to make is I want to go to CQG on my personal account, only because I want the trend, not because I'm a lover of CQG. But Rhythmic has some shortcomings in that they don't give you, you can't get index data with Rhythmic. That's a big negative. There's times when you want, uh, you can pay $6 and get some really good index data. So that's what I'm interested in. You know, Draghi speaking at 11 could be a breakout trade also. These are things you want to think about. The breakout trade could be pretty amazing at times, okay? During events, people talking, things like that. If you don't want to sit around and watch the markets, find it when talking heads are doing things. You know, those are good times to trade. But so I figured I'll show the one click range trade over and over. We're going to regularly show it, have another webinar on it so I can help you set up your charts. But let's concentrate on the ISM first, okay? CQG, I believe, here's the problem, Colleen. Um, it's Ninja that doesn't support the Osaka index. If your broker is not Ninja, then the Osaka index is supported by Optimus and AMP. And they are the two brokers that if you had Ninja live before March 15th, 2016, you can use Ninja with a different broker. Then you can get the Osaka index. Although I really am requesting everybody send an email to Ninja. Well, that was when Ninja decided to get rid of all their brokers, Colleen. So that's what happened. Ninja decided to get rid of all their brokers and become their own broker and prevent other brokers from working, which is absurd. It's not a Dorman issue. See, I have Dorman also. Dorman is the clearing broker. Ninja is the platform broker. In other words, the clearing broker doesn't have anything to do with this. You could have Dorman or Phillips, and it's not the issue we're discussing. It's a different thing. They're your clearing broker. They actually, from what I understand, they have your money. And I could be, does anybody know the truth about what because I get my statements from Dorman, so I believe the clearing broker is the broker that keeps your money. So if Ninja went out of business, would you lose all your money if your money was at Dorman? It's a good question, isn't it? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Ninja is anywhere near shape or form going out of business. I know nothing about the health of Ninja. That's the truth. Nothing. I only know that a company that forces customers to stay with them has a very bad business model going on. That's a bad business model. It makes no sense. Let people do what they want and survive on your qualities. That's how business works. If you have to keep your customers, ultimately your customers are going to hate your guts. It's just that simple. Even if you do a good job, they're going to hate you because they want freedom. People don't want to be told what to do with their money, especially. So the people that run Ninja need to get a heads up. They need to wake up. They really need to wake up because they're running their business totally wrong. You also don't give lifetime licenses ever. That's a business no-no. Why cut off your revenue? You have to survive. It's hard to survive in business. If you give lifetime licenses, you lose all your revenue, right? So it seems like a good idea. Grab a big chunk of money up front, but then you have a customer who you owe for the rest of your life and you don't get paid by them? I don't get it. That's why they became a broker, probably, which is fine. Good idea. Become a broker. Great idea. But don't force your customers to stay if they don't want to stay. People don't want to function that way. It's absurd. Anyway, I'm going to stop ranting. I live in Philly. My birthday was Super Bowl Sunday. I went to a bar with my daughter last night and my whole family. It was the most unbelievable experience I ever had in my whole life, and it was the greatest football game I've ever seen. Not just because Philadelphia won, but because it was the greatest football game I've ever seen. A backup quarterback wins the Super Bowl. The team that loses had 600 total yards and no punts. No punts. I'm pretty sure it was 600 yards, not 400. But just incredible. Incredible game, incredible night. Was really amazing. I'm looking for the horror. I'm looking for the horror. Yeah, one turnover with 2 minutes to go. So this trade is a regular, I'm just doing a regular normal news trade. I'm going to use the IRA normally. The yen works as well as anything on this trade. The three indexes that I've tested on this trade are gold, the yen, and bonds. Yen, bonds, and gold is the order I would put their effectiveness. Yen, bonds, and gold is the order that I would put their effectiveness. Okay. Bonds and gold are very close. Very close. So, did anybody trade Great Britain this morning? There was a British trade, GPB Services. I don't look at the British trades these days because I know I'm not getting up that early. If I had time, I would test all of them, but I don't. There's just too much to do. Services 31.9. It was a nice offset. Wait, that's euro. Let's see what Great Britain was. A medium offset, 53 versus 54.1. Should have been a short that I think could have hit the first target by the looks of the number. If anybody traded it, I'd be curious what happened to you. That's what it looks like to me, just by the number. It could have worked. It could have worked. The big number we're looking for is ISM Non Manufacturing PMI monthly. So the British trade, looking to see if anybody traded it. Chris didn't wake up. That's okay. That's hard to get up that early. The market open is very volatile. It was down last night. We're definitely seems like we're in a correction for sure. We had a great non-farm trade. People made a fortune. No joke. No joke. People made money. One of our members made 2,000. We traded the DAX, which turned out to be the worst index of all. We made almost 200. And it was the only index that went up and then reversed really fast. Everything else just moved in one direction. But very honestly, after last night, Eagles won the most amazing football game I've ever seen in my life. People have waited 52 years. The Eagles have been in one Super Bowl, never won. It's been 52 years. We've had the same owner here for many, many, many years. And in fact, Andy Reid was our coach, I think, for like 16 years and never got there. But Doug Peterson, the coach last night, it's if you watch the way he coached, it sort of makes sense to trade the same way. Trade to win, right? He played football to win last night. He went for fourth downs and five. He went for 2-point conversions. I mean, he truly played to win. He played to win. It was awesome. The setup is a 5-tick bracket on the yen. I find that the fills are pretty quick. 20 seconds, it's not really necessary. 10 seconds on this type of trade is pretty good, I think. I like 10 seconds on these trades. Trade in 318, 6J 318, 12-tick stop is perfect. 5-tick bracket is good. Okay, so the Hyra is right on the money today. Had a long talk with Jay about Hyra data. And Jay said that sometimes there are Hyras, and he will agree, where it seems like the data is very old. It doesn't mean that he hasn't been looking at it. What it means is he's leaving it on. And we talked about this because I've said to him, I said, Jay, people are coming at me because sometimes they're thinking that because the data is old or appears to be old because it goes back so far that the HIRA is not updated. And it turns out that I may be wrong on that because he said, I'll tell you exactly what he said. Uh, if you look at the tabular data at the top, and this is the tabular data, you have the averages in the left columns, okay? The averages are in the left columns. And sometimes you might have a 5-year data set where nothing smaller or greater has happened since, okay? He uses the last 12 reports to aggregate to put all those numbers together. He always looks at 12 reports. I think the only thing that we need to get on to do a little bit better job on is to make sure always that last 6 is updated and last 12 is updated. Okay. I think that's something that if we make sure that that's done, then I think we'll be sitting better with any hire that we look at. Okay. Yeah, people are still talking about the trade. I mean, the game, it's unbelievable. The catch by Nick Foles was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Um, Colleen, I'm not using the U1 and the U11. Just ignore them. I shouldn't even have them on here. I don't use those for this trade. I shouldn't have them on this chart. That's for later. That's for later. Okay? So don't even, I'm not even using those settings. You don't need any settings. All I'm using this chart on the right for is just to set up my trade. Right click, breakout, that's it. So I don't have settings. The only setting, Enrico, I've traded gold on this. It's okay. It works. It works. I'm doing a bracket of distance. I'm doing this as a regular news trade because that's what it is. I'll bet Steven's doing it as a consolidation trade. Right, Steven? If you want me not to bug you this morning, that's fine. I'm doing it as a breakout. Mode is strategy internal. When I trade the yen, I do 2 contracts for my first 3 on my 3 ticks for my first target. I think I'll go for 9 on my second. It's not a gigantic mover. Stop is 12, and I don't want to get stopped real quick. So I'm going to move my stop to break even -3. I'm going to see if that works a little better for me. I'm not going to trail this particular trade, although I like trailing a lot. I did discover something about trailing. I've been wrong about something. I've told you that if you use two positions, you cannot trail. But that's not true. If your second position, your target, if you use two positions and two targets, I said you can't trail because if your second target is taken out, there's no trail. And that is true. But if your second profit target is very big, the trail will work until it gets taken out or you get reversed out. So I was sort of wrong about um, whether or not you could trail with two positions and two targets. You can if your second target is very big. It's got to be very big or it'll get hit and the trail won't ever happen. Okay. So I was wrong about that. And I learned it over the weekend just practicing some testing and stuff. In a couple of days, we should have trailing with one contract available. We're updating the software once more just because we want even people with small accounts to be able to trail if they want to. Look, trailing, Jay's against trailing, always was against trailing on news trades. And I understand why, because very often news trades reverse and you get pulled right out of your trail. I would use a bracket of 4 on gold and I'd use a stop of 8, Enrico. That's what my testing was. It just doesn't move that much. Bracket of 4 I would use. Okay? And a stop of 8. Eight's plenty. If it goes against you, you don't want to lose. Because I like to trade 3 contracts with gold. I like to trade gold exactly the way I trade the yen. So that if my first target gets hit, I can get out with a tiny profit on the yen and a small profit on gold. All right. That's why I do it that way. This trade has been decent. 3 out of the last 4 have worked. Last month was a stop out, but I used bonds last month. On bonds, KW, I would use a bracket of 2. I would use a bracket of 2 and targets of like 2 and 5 and a stop of 4. And that's ZB. And I'd enter at 50. I enter bonds, most trades 57 or 58. And bonds are okay. Be prepared to get out fast if they don't move. They'll either move well or they won't. If they don't, you want to be prepared to get out quick. Colleen, I'm not understanding what you just said about the ADX. I'm not using the ADX in this trade. It's just on my chart. But keep in mind, I don't use that right chart except to adjust my strategy. So my yen bracket is 5. I'm in a breakout trade. That's why I'm not using the ADX. Okay. I mean, I like the indicator. There's nothing wrong with the indicator. I'm doing 2 contracts for 3 ticks, 1 contract for 9 ticks. My stop is 12, and my target, if I hit my first target, my stop will move to break even -3. Let's check time. Did I do my entry time? 9:59:57. 9:59:57. It's not a very big bracket. Bracket of 5 is okay with the yen. Oh, you just made 5 ticks. What Steve set up on the RTY. Colleen, email me the setup that you're using for that. Because I don't know what it is on the RTY. I don't trade it. If you don't mind emailing that to me, I'll just put it in my list of trades. And that way I'll be able to talk about it. If you don't mind. Anybody who needs my email, you can just always reach me. Support That way everybody that works here sees it. Support at joebracketbreakout.net. Everybody has my personal email. I don't care where you email me. But support's the best. Vivek, I'm trading the yen. I'm trading the Hira. I'm trading the Hira because it has the best testing. Oh, what's your setting on the U11? We use the default, Colleen. Stephen, you use default settings on the U11, right? If I remember correctly, you don't change any of those settings. Default, Colleen. In other words, just like when you load it in, we don't change anything. But if it's working for you, right, you could experiment. We've got some magnets. Let's check the time. Getting a little off base here. Let's do a couple of things we got to do. Go to time.is. Okay. You want your time exact. I don't trade if my time's not exact. I just don't. It's me. You don't have to do what I do. But that's my rule. One of my personal rules. If time is not exact, I don't trade. On a normal trade, you have two buttons. Combine targets is great if you're in a losing trade and you want to just combine the targets together to get out easier and faster. And the break even button, if you're in a winning trade, if you hit the break even button, it'll move you to break even. It actually moves you to break even plus a tick. It moves you to break even plus a tick. So one more time, my yen settings, bracket of 5, 2 contracts for 3 ticks, 1 contract for 9 ticks, 12 tick stop, entry 950, 957. Ian, where were you all weekend? You missed the non-farm. I was going to send you an email. Oh, sorry to hear. You feeling better? A lot of people have been not feeling well. The flu's been going around, and I've been lucky. I feel pretty decent. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. What does that mean? But a lot of people have really been getting blasted with the flu this year. It's been vicious. They say 51 out of, is that a million, Chris, or 100,000? That looks like a million. That's not that many. 51 out of a million. 51 out of 100,000 isn't even that many. It's 100,000. Do I need new glasses, Chris? Maybe. So we have a bunch of new members. I want to thank everybody. I say it's an advantage to use the trade room on every trade because then you know exactly what's going on, or if there's a last second change, or if there's an error on the HIRA. Sometimes there's a mistake on the HIRA and I miss it and I didn't tell anybody all week. It happens. I'm guilty. I don't check the HIRAs. I'm guilty because I've so much to do. I just assume Jay's got it down. And there were a couple of instruments that were goofy last week. Enrico, you were sick as a dog starting the new year and still have a cough. That's what people are saying. It just hangs around, hangs around, and hangs around. Chris, I'm not trading the Draghi speech at 11, but it is an opportunity to trade the one-click range trade on the Nasdaq, I believe. If you're a DAX trader and you have a big account, it's certainly a trade, right? You know, the problem with speeches, Chris, is you just don't know what's going to be said and you don't know what time it's going to be said. So you have to be willing to sit, watch, listen, right? I forgot to connect my squawk. Okay. How much is the market down today? What do you mean, Enrico? What were you taking that word was getting in the way of those? Let's get ready for this trade. The market's almost back. It's due for an up day. It's definitely due for an up day. Even in a correction, you get up days. But look, people really panic if the market's been going up, 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 up for years, right? If the market's been going up, up, up for years, and then you get a correction, people really panic because they forgot what it's like for the market to go down. They totally forgot what it's like. It's totally understandable that they panic. And then they panic and they sell when they should hold. You really should try not to sell when the market's going down. So 30 seconds. First trade of the week. Always one of the most nerve-wracking trades for me. Just getting back in the swing of things is nerve-wracking. I like a 10-second cancel on this trade, maybe 15. I think, see, it usually fills. I mean, I got very, very strange what happened. The yen is such a weird index. I think that what happened is it filled my first target and reversed and gave me a negative tick of slippage. Two negative ticks of slippage is what I believe happened to me. So I lost $6. It doesn't make sense. Let's see if I can make any sense out of this. I lost $6 on that trade. It would have been a better breakout trade, a one-click bracket trade, because I would have been in the trade earlier, probably. Would have been in the trade earlier, but it's been a trade that works properly. It Here's what happened. It filled me at 35 at the bottom of the candle. Got my first target for 3 ticks and then reversed on me and did exactly what I said. Okay. It reversed on me and instead of getting out break even though my stop moved, my stop was, if you remember, it was break even minus 3, I believe. And I believe that I got hit with a couple of ticks of negative slippage that worked against me, and that's why it wasn't a break even. That's why it wasn't a break even. I would assume that every index was a lousy trade. Usually, when you have the yen doing that, all the indexes do it. Let's take a look and see what gold did. Anytime you have a bad trade, if you lose $6, um, you almost smile to yourself and go, maybe I got lucky. And I mean, I hit my first target. I rarely lose money if I hit my first target. It was just bad luck that it reversed so fast I couldn't even move my stop. So, but it just shows you that so many times I move my stop a little bit more and I don't lose money. Okay. I don't lose a penny, but I get stopped out and it continues in my direction sometimes. Okay. Gold seemed to do the same thing. It dropped, then went up, and now it's heading down again, but doesn't look like it was a very powerful trade. However, if you get your first target and filled on gold, you'll have a better profit, even if it flips back on you. You will not get stopped out. And, we've talked about this issue of not moving the stop at all. Not moving the stop at all, um, I think would have kept us in the trade. We'd possibly still be in the trade. The data was positive, so that makes the yen and gold head down. Okay. Very nice, Colleen. Traded after the report using the ADX and U11. Colleen, so what? You're using the one click range trade and you just put yourself, when did you put yourself in the trade? Let me change my workspace. I'm going to open my consolidation workspace. And then I'm going to close I don't want any extra workspaces open. So if you're using the one-click range trade, make sure you're only using one workspace. So I'm closing my JOBB workspace, okay? And my plan honestly was just to do some testing today. We've only tested this once before, so I'm not sure I want to trade it live or not. I want to do some testing. I mean, I think it's a good trade ultimately. The confirms that I like, we're thinking about the Williams AD0 lag. And the way that you use this indicator is the slope on this dotted line. When it's below the blue line, you have a short, but not when it's heading up like that. You have a short when it's heading down, and preferably below the blue line. Am I right about that, Chantal? Because it's an indicator that's very new to me. But I would think more often than not, it would have worked last night at the open when it dropped, because the market dropped so fast, it looks like there was no chance for the indicator to catch up to the market. Bob, you got 6 ticks for JOBB on which trade? Do you just look at the angle of the slope, Chantal, and not bother? What about the thick blue line? Do you want to be below and above it depending on direction? Bob, you made 7 ticks on gold because you got your first target hit. Is that what happened? Okay. So gold, as I was saying, is if you had one target, you might have made money on the ISM report. A few people did. Bob did. Usually the thick blue line is on the correct side of the trade. Okay. In other words, if it's a short, usually the dotted line is below. If it's a long, usually the dotted line is above. Okay. The dotted line, if it's horizontal, you don't want to trade. Okay. If it's horizontal like that, you don't want to trade. Okay. And sometimes you'll see that it will be horizontal. Okay. So don't trade it when that happens. The setup, and we're not 100% sure about this setup yet for the NQ trade. First of all, you want to be on 210 ticks. So go to data series and make sure you're on 210 ticks, okay? For the NASDAQ. 210 ticks is what I like to be set on. And I am, okay? Bob, I'm surprised you got targets of 7 on gold, that you got that much of a target on that trade. So I'll make a note Bob, that gold was better on this month's ISM, and we'll consider it, definitely consider it for next month. My testing has been showing that the yen has been better. Bear with me. You see, if gold hits the first target, because gold is $10 a tick, the odds of making money are better if you're, if you're doing $10 a tick. Understood? Oh, Bob, I believe you. There's no doubt in my mind. If you say you got seven, you got seven. Okay? If you say you got seven, you got seven. And your bracket distance was four. Well, that's what I would have used on gold, Bob. Four would have been my bracket on gold. That was my setup. That would have been my setup. I agree with that. So here's how I would set this up. Stephen, this is different than the way you do it. So this is a different setup. It's a NASDAQ 1030 trade. Okay. That's what it's based on. It's based on movement that I've seen on the NASDAQ at 1030. And you don't need your news. Okay. Because it's not a news trade. It's a discretionary trade, if anything. Okay. I'm trading off of this chart. I used my panel of my EMA 210, my SMA 3 and my EMA 21. That's what this is. Okay. And then these indicators here, and don't forget, you can go to Futures.io. You can go to Futures.io to get indicators that we use. Unfortunately, Ninja 8 indicators are not all available. You can go to Futures.io and use the coupon code JOBB, and they'll give you a 15% discount on being an elite member, so you could download any indicators you want. Okay. KW tried the ZB, got a bracket of two filled, then it stalled for about 2 minutes and he got out at break even. So bonds did not do much. The indicators I'm using for the one-click range trade, I always have my Joe Brackett breakout utilities installed. I have the Anna squeeze installed. On any squeeze, I use a length of 15 on any squeeze, a period. Okay? They usually default to 20. John Carter taught me that, and I always do it. I use the ADVXMA alerts. I think they're on Futures.io, but I changed the ADX period to 7. That's the only thing I change. I set up an SMA of 3 and 21, SMA of 3 and EMA of 21 in my panel. And on my other chart here, I'll show you, I use the Williams. I use the Anna Supertrend U11. I don't make any changes to it, except I turn off the diamonds and the diamond sounds. Okay. I have to find it, but trust me, it's there. Forgive me, that's in the ADVXMA. I apologize. The diamonds, I turn them off. Arrow sound on is false. Diamond sound false. I don't need sounds. Okay. I mean, the arrow sound on, you know what? That wouldn't hurt. You'll see what I mean when you see arrows. I want to show arrows. Always. I like to show arrows. Okay. But I don't show the diamonds because you don't need them. It's just too much stuff. Okay. It's too much stuff. So the other thing I change is the ADX period. I put on 7. And all of this we've gone on. I have a video for Chris. Send me an email and I'll send you the video I have. okay, for the one click. And we're going to have one more webinar on setting it up. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow because there's no trades tomorrow. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow and we'll just have like a relaxed webinar. You know what? We could do it at 10, 9:30, 9:45, and we'll set up and do the NQ 1030 trade again. Okay. The U11 super trend default. Three, 2.5, 15. Colleen, right. 3, 2.5, 15 is default. Okay. So those are the indicators I use. You could take a picture of that if you want. Take a quick picture. And the Williams AD's lag, zero lag. It's sometimes called lag. Okay. You can happily send me an email. I'll send you all this in a file. Okay. And we will have one more webinar to do it because we're still testing it. So the way that I set this trade up, and trust me, I'm still thinking about the settings, okay? So it's important to understand that we are testing. This is new. We use 2 ticks above and below the range. We use a 15-bar look back. We show the graphics. You don't have to worry about time. It's a one-click range trade, okay? Both directions, no canceling. Buttons, of course, are true. Now, if you want to just use 2 positions, you can. You don't have to use 3. And you can make your first target. I don't remember how we set our targets, but I don't like them tiny because this trade has a tendency to actually move. So I'm going to set my first target to 8 ticks. See, here's the interesting thing. When I used to have a stop of 5 points on this trade. So that's like 20 ticks, okay? If you don't want to use a stop that big, you don't have to. And I am going to trail. See, what happens is I'm not what I'm testing. The big thing I'm testing is what I want to do with my break evens. The way Steve trades this trade. Yeah, let me fix that. Hold on. Sorry. NQ is 918. Thank you. 318. Sorry. NQ is 318. 210 ticks. We're in March. Okay? We're in March. So we're 3 ticks above and below the range. The big thing that we're testing is what to do after you get filled, okay? You're going to get filled in this trade at some point. The trade's going to break out. Now, normally, you enter when the ADVXMA breaks out of the consolidation and changes a color. So let's say you were here, you would enter here, okay? But you're banking on the fact that the NASDAQ is going to break out of consolidation at 1030 and give you a nice steady move in one direction because it generally does, okay? And we have tested it. We have done fair amount of testing. But the issue for me is I'm not positive yet how I want to deal with my break evens. Okay, I'm just not positive. If you make them 4 and 8 the way Steven does it, then it's a scalp trade. And I want this to be a little bit more of a trend trade. So I'm going to do 8 I'm going to do 0 on my second. I'm going to do my second target 0 at 8. I'm just going to do 2 positions. I'm going to do a 20 tick stop because we're testing. In real life, I might not be willing to risk 5 points. Okay. I'm not sure I'm willing to risk 5 points. Let's see if we can get a straight move. And if our targets are hit, I'm not going to move my stop yet. I'm going to, my stop's going to go to break even -2 and trail from there. Okay. Okay. So let me go over that again. Let me go over that again. Stephen, tell me what your point is on that, please. I want to keep my stop out of the way on this trade. I kind of want to keep my stop on the way. No, I understand. You think that's too big? Is that what you're saying? I know you like to trail where it's like break even +2. Or are you saying, tell me what you're saying because I'm open. I'm going to do one thing. Hang on, folks, because I always reboot my platform before I trade, even in sim, and we have 10 minutes. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. As a rule, we don't need the news. You could keep your news out of the way, open, so that, if you see anything happening or if something comes across, you'll be able to deal with it. Let's make sure we're in 210 ticks. Our trade should be mostly set up because I applied it. Okay. So 3 and 3. Look back. We're looking back 15 bars. 1 click range trade. 2 positions, 8 ticks. I like that if my first target gets hit, my stop moves to break even -2. Then if I get stopped out, I'll still make 5 ticks or so. I'll still make a few ticks. Okay. This is not a replay, it's a sim. And I'm trailing. Okay. Let's see what happens. And it's still possible to adjust, that some adjustment's going to be needed on this trade. Let me just make sure that I chose the right trade, that I'm awake. Because I'm not seeing movement. What am I? Well, I'm losing it, folks. Hang on. NQ 318. I'm not losing my mind. But I'm not seeing my charts move. The date on my chart is NQ 318, but it says 9/6/2017. It's really weird. It doesn't make sense. Why? That's really, really strange. My computer is on the right date. Something is wrong with my charts, folks, and I can't reboot my computer or I would have to throw you all out. How do I do that? How do I do that, Bob? Real quick. Reload historical data. Okay, that's strange. Why did that happen, though? Any thoughts? Somebody tell me why that happened. I've never seen that before, ever. Ever. I'm on NT7. Let me get that strategy set up again, folks, so this works, at least as a test. Bracket of 3, true 15, one click range trade. Everything is still set up. I've never ever had that happen to me before. Now we have our range. Okay. So my idea here is you could see some yellow dots. Some people think you can just put the trade on at 10:30. That's the risk you take, that you don't wait for signals. It's a 10:30 trade. I take that back. It's a 10:30 trade that if you break out by 2 ticks on either side, that's your trade. So if we double click our one click range trade, that's what that does. Okay? That's what that does. So what people are telling me in the room is if you ever notice a date discrepancy, I've never had that happen with Ninja ever. That's why I was totally at a loss. So I didn't think of reloading historical data. That was a great idea. Thank you, Bob. In a sense, we have missed this trade. This trade took place early. Okay. This trade was a trade right here. Okay. It was a 10-20 trade. Let's be honest. It was a 10-20 trade. Not sure that I'm real interested in going short with the market being so bullish. You do have the ability with our software to choose a one direction trade if you wanted to. Direction, if you make a change to the strategy, you have to turn true to false and then press the apply button. Now you can change any of the strategy, right? I'm going to leave it be. I'm going to leave it be. Okay. And then enable the trade again. Okay. So that it trades. The thing about the one click range trade is you can re-enable. We're not in a trade, we're just in a range. We're in an analysis mode. You can turn it off and turn it on as many times as you want. Doesn't hurt anything. Okay? Our trade is set up. Our entry. Steve, say that again. If I was using Ana Momentum, which I don't know if I have that. I'm going to have to look and see if I have it, Stephen. You're saying Stephen's an expert at this trade, okay? And he's been teaching me a lot about it. And that's why we're taking our time. Okay. Is it a futures IO, Stephen, and a momentum? Okay. So you recommend what would I have seen? What would I have seen? See, this is why I kept my trade on in both directions because the Nasdaq, it's a very volatile index. You do have an alert here. You have a crossover. You're still in a consolidation, though. It's a big fat consolidation, though. But now you have a red line, I believe, for a short. But it's before the trade. I'm going to wait until 10:30 and then I'm going to take my trade. Okay. Who is Steven? Does he have a trade room? No, he's a member, David, who helped me design this trade. He helped design the trade. So he's done a couple of webinars with us. Kirk, if I do that, I don't like what it's going to do to me. Okay. It's just, I need a little more room. 321 just went south. We're getting short signals. Okay. Now, Steven might very well have the trade on by now, but I'm waiting till it's a 10:30 trade by definition. It's a 10:30 trade. It's just a time that the NASDAQ moves, David. And also 11 o'clock and also 9:30, we're going to do some testing. And I'm going to talk Steven into doing one more webinar for scalping. The way that he does this is strictly as a scalp. I would actually have maybe even larger targets. Okay. I would maybe even have larger targets. At about 5 seconds before 10:30, I'm going to put my trade on. No, David, I'm not going to do anything at 11, but it is a tradable moment, Draghi. Draghi is always a tradable moment, especially with the DAX. Especially with the DAX or what's the other European index that it's like the ES. It's been so the FESX. It's been so long since I've traded the European indexes. But we're just testing because in this particular instance, I would put the trade on. And if you could turn it off, turn it back on. I said I was going to wait till 3 seconds before. So now I'm waiting for the NASDAQ to break out. Okay. I'm waiting for the NASDAQ to break out. Now, Chantal's kind of yelling at me because she wants to wait for the color to change. But I think the NASDAQ just has this tendency to move at 10:30. So it's slightly different from the way we tested. Okay. Today, though, we might be in a situation where you might have called off this trade because of the pre-move. Okay. Because of the pre-move. We're in consolidation. We're now out. Okay. Because the color, it's a tough call. I mean, the price hasn't broken through. The U11 has not broken through current price, but you're getting a short signal. You have a crossover of the 21. And remember, this is a trend trade. It's a 5-point stop. You could lose a fair amount of money on it. It hit my first target. No matter what, I'll make a couple of bucks. Okay? No matter what, I'm going to make a couple of bucks. Even if it completely reverses. Even if it completely reverses. Now, my stop has trailed enough that if it reverses, it's on the positive side of my entry. So now I'm just working on the market's money. I'm just working on the market's money now. Okay. You just got to let it run. Okay. We have a trail. There's nothing to do. Just let it play. If the NASDAQ drops the bed, we're just going to make more and more money. Okay. If it reverses, it'll stop us out and we'll have some sort of a profit. Okay. Because keep in mind, our stop now is way far away from our entry. We're going to make over $100 no matter what, or pretty darn close. So we didn't work that hard to get it. We're going to let it run. It may reverse. You know, you could say to yourself, maybe I'm happy with $200, right? You could pull your stop down and get out now with $200. So it took us out with that reversal. And now if you want, you could put it back on and wait. Wait for another move, another bunch of signals. Okay? All right, I'll take questions. That's the trade. That's the trade. It traded. Okay? You could trade it again if you want. But I'm not going to today. I was here to do a trade. We've been here for an hour. Now I want to answer questions. Stephen, you're the expert on this. Do you have any comments about the setup? Any comments about the setup? I'll show you my setup again. Now, see, the only issue is, was the stop too close? Too close. Okay? That's always an issue. Always an issue. Stephen says no. He says that's the way you do it. But Stephen also is coming from a more of a scalping mentality on this trade than I would use. Okay? I had a fairly hefty stop. Okay? 20 ticks on the NASDAQ. Two contracts. The reason I did two contracts is because I wanted you to see that you could do it with two. You didn't have to use three to trail. Okay. And like I said, in a week or so, we're going to be able to trail with one contract. So we'll be able to do it one contract. Steven says everything we do is a scalp. In a way, that's true, Steven. In a way, that's true. But does everybody see the point? So let me make some points. Before I do, I just wanted to ask Stephen N. You had said something about anti-momentum, and I just didn't get the finishing of your sentence. You said it would show me something, and what was it going to show me? What's it going to show me, Stephen? The anti-momentum. What would it have prevented something or helped me make a decision better than what? If it, okay, it matches the 321, so then my question, of course, is what do I need it for? I could replace the 321 with the anti-momentum, you're saying? Okay. So in other words, it's another indicator that you could use instead of the crossover I created here. Okay. So if anybody needs help on this, email me with the help that you need. If you need a list of the indicators, if you want to get involved in this type of trade, it's not a news trade, but we're gearing it around specific times. We're not, JOBB will probably never just open a trade room and sit and watch and sit and watch. On occasion, if it's very slow, I might open a trade room for an hour, okay? But we're never going to spend the whole day sitting in a trade room. It's just not the way we do it. You could, Steven says you could use this all day. You could use it all day, right? And you could wait for the color to turn before you enter, okay? You did have quite a few entry signals here. You had a blue arrow, you had a crossover. Here, what's interesting is you had a short that entered, that crossed the yellow line. Okay, hang on one second, folks. Okay, folks, so you understand that one of the signals is when price crosses, when the U11 crosses current price. That's a signal. Okay, that was not as good a signal as just our general consolidation trade at 10:30 on this particular one. What do I mean the color to turn? Colleen, what I mean is the yellow dots turned into a color. Okay? That's the way the indicator works. When it's in yellow dots, you're in consolidation. When it changes into a color, that's a trade signal. Okay? On the ADX, that's a trade signal. Thank you. That's a trade signal. Okay? There's more than one trade signal. Some people could use, Stephen, I'm not so sure how useful the Anna squeeze is. I think it's just not something I even look at. I'm not sure how useful it is. We have other things that are more useful. The downward slope of the Williams AD's lag was beautiful. Look at that downward slope. Okay. At JOBB, we are not used to being discretionary traders. So nobody should rush into this unless you trade this way. Nobody should rush into this. Okay. But we have a working system. We're going to do it on earnings. We're going to do it on the 1030 trade. We may do it at 11 o'clock. We're not going to do it all day. For you crazy scalpers out there, you can. What Steven does as his setup, Steven has a scalping setup. Okay? His scalping setup is different than mine. What he does, it's a fun setup too. Steven, do you use a tick of 3 or 2? I forgot. I have it written down. Use a 3. He does 3 positions, okay? And you don't have to do 3, you can do 2. He does a first target of 4, a second target of 6, third target of 0, a stop of 12, I believe. His stop moves are break even and break even plus 2. And he trails, okay? And so that way you're trailing. You use a trailing tick of 4, Stephen? You're changing things on me. So that you trail 4, is that what you're doing? Or you're leaving it, you leave it at 1. No, that's what it does. It trails at 4. Understood. The break even plus 2 trails at 4 ticks behind. It trails at 4 ticks behind. Break even plus 4 would trail at 6 behind or 2 behind? 2 behind. If you have break even plus 4. Experiment with the trailing a little. It's new. Okay. That's his scalp setup. And then he turns the trade on. He turns the range on. He uses a 15 bar look back. Okay. 15 bar look back. All right. 15 bar look back, and he turns it on. Okay. Turn it on. So you've got a range. And he has the trade on all the time. He's trading it all the time. Now we're late here. Okay, look. We're late because the trade should have been turned on. That's the perfect place to turn on a trade. But remember, very small target. Now, if it reverses, we'll make about 30 bucks. Okay, we made 60 because we were up 230. We were up 170. We made 65 bucks. Turn it back on. All right. Steve could do that all day. Now, look, you don't have to do it all day on. You can take a breath. You could wait for yellow dots. You don't have to trade every second, right? You're going to eventually lose too many if you trade every second. But if you're in the middle of the range like that, you know you're not going to get filled in 1 second usually, although the NQ is pretty volatile. but you know you're going to have a little breath there, right? A little breather. When you get your first 1,000, that's when Steven stops. All right. We made 170 on our first. It was sim, so it probably would have been a little less. There would have been a few ticks of slippage probably. Not a lot. This is not a high slippage trade, the range trade, because the orders are placed and it's not waiting for explosions, okay, as a general rule. We're not trading specific news events usually. You can, believe it or not. It will work. But it's a discretionary trade that you're counting on enough small move directional changes in the NQ, which it does. Okay. I don't know why my stop moved all the way there. What the NQ does, it does those crazy things. It makes those directional moves. All right. So that's Steven's setup. I wasn't planning on scalping and trading today. That's not what the goal here was. It was to show you the 1030 trade. That's a very specific trade that we're thinking of making a JOBB trade. Okay. We can do it with lower risk if you want, but I think you have to risk 5 points on it. That's how I was taught it because the Nasdaq can be wild enough. Okay. But you could see there were a couple of very nice consolidation trades on the Nasdaq. If you just put the trade on when you have yellow dots, that's when you can put the trade on, right? We have yellow dots. If you put Steven's trade on, the scalp trade on with yellow dots, if it breaks out, you may have a lot of trading because that means it's volatile. Steven says it's had a lot of them today because the markets are volatile. Okay. So if you email me, or if you want to wait till another webinar, we could do two things. We could do the 1030 trade, and then we could do 20 minutes of scalping tomorrow. I'll tell you what we could do. Let me see. What we could do is have a webinar tomorrow at 9:45. Email me today so you get all your indicators. I'll take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour to show you how to set up the charts. And then we'll trade the 1030 trade. Yes, Kirk, I'll talk to you about that in a second. And then we'll trade the 1030 trade and scalp for 20 minutes. Okay. We'll do it all as a test tomorrow, except maybe the 1030 trade. We'll see. But I'd like people to learn how to do this. It's a really powerful feature that the software has. It's a really great setup. It's a really great setup. Kirk is asking, do I have any idea why your buttons don't show up at the top? Ninja, we're having some issues with buttons, Kirk. Make sure you only have one workspace open, and if they're not on your trading chart, look on your right chart. Sometimes they show up on the right chart. But if you have any other workspaces open, they could show up on a workspace you can't see, so that you cannot, under any circumstances, have any extra workspaces open if you trade this trade. Okay? No workspaces open. None. None. except the trading workspace. There may be a NASDAQ 930 trade. There may be an everything 930 trade. Everything opens at 930. You know you're going to have volatility. You just got to hope you get a directional move in that volatility when the market's open. 6 p.m. is an awesome time for this trade. Market's open. You know you're going to have volatility. A little bit safer than 930 in my opinion. The button might be on the top. Okay, you see it, Kirk? The rule is very strict rule, folks. Very strict. Very strict. Only one workspace allowed open on this trade. If you don't listen, you will lose money. I promise you. Okay? You'll lose money because you won't see your buttons. You won't be able to control your trade. I can turn this trade on anytime I want. It doesn't mean I have to trade it. I'm just watching the range. I'm just watching the range. Okay? I'll trade it when I think I have a signal, or I'll trade it when I think the NASDAQ is showing it's getting ready for a move. Like now. I think the NASDAQ is heading for a slight reversal. And that's why I had a tiny setup. Okay? Tiny setup. Tiny targets. Okay? I have a red arrow. We've made our move up. We're in a consolidation. You're safer if you wait for the, definitely safer if you wait for the yellow dots to stop. It's safer. Okay? You have to have the full version, Coop. The free version of Ninja does not, the free version of Ninja does not give you daily data. Okay, Coop? It doesn't give you daily data. The NASDAQ's just dropping dead right now. Let it drop dead with us, make a few bucks. One more time. One more. When you hear that sound, you're going to make at least 20 bucks. Okay? I'm not doing anything, folks, except turning the trade on. Now I'm just turning the range on. This is using Steven's scalp setting. When you get a very firm cross of the 321, it's a great trade signal. Okay? That's a great trade signal. It's a little better if I can draw it right. Right there. Okay? That's your trade signal at the cross. Look. Look how it lines up. You don't have to have the dots. If you get price breaking through, hopefully you get it for a little further back, but you could just see the NASDAQ was heading down here at the top of the range, okay, with a crossover at the top of the range. It's a discretionary trade. There's going to be times when you make a mistake and it gets you, okay? That's life. You don't have to trade it like a lunatic. You could just carefully pick and choose your trades, okay? See, at 1044, what's interesting though, there was, well, no, there was a cross, Stephen. The cross came at 10:4. It came at 1044 at the consolidation. You had the cross, but it's not a clean cross, right? It's a weird cross, but it worked great. It did work. So yellow dots is a heads up. I'm getting ready to trade. You can even put the trade on. Okay. You might get caught going the wrong way. It's possible. But more often than not, you won't. But you would not go short at 1044. You don't go short on green arrows ever, green candles ever. I wouldn't. I would never go short at it with a green candle personally with this strategy. Okay. I would not. And you can make a personal decision whether you want a strong cross or not of the 3 and the 21. Okay. This is a strong cross and it worked beautifully. You could wait for strong crosses. Anna gives you purple dots usually when you're in a consolidation. And you can see they show up where there's yellow dots. So Anna is a heads up to get ready to trade. Okay. The settings on the squeeze, Brian, the only thing I change from a standard squeeze, any squeeze, the only thing I change is I make the period 15 instead of 20. That's it. But these are their settings. 15, 1.5, and 2. Okay. Bob, what was your question? Are you reading what correctly? Coop, did you get you get the situation? You need to have the full version or you don't get live data. Unless you're using a demo. Coop, the brokers will give you a live demo for 2 weeks. Coop, okay? They'll give you a live demo of the full version for 2 weeks. What Stephen is saying, the Anna momentum is more precise than the crossover. There was no decision at 1044. But see, I like that trade, Steve. I like uh I like an almost cross like that. That doesn't scare me, I guess. Oh, Coop, you're good then. Nothing to worry about. I didn't know. You're good. Any other questions? I'll stay here until you're done with questions. It was a great cross at 1040, right? Gorgeous. Gorgeous. So I'll put Anna momentum on my charts, okay? I'll compare it to the crossover. I like the crossover because it's easy to see. I know I have Anna momentum somewhere. I'll find it and I'll put it on. So Futures.io, futures.io, JOBB is the coupon code for 15% discount on indicators. But keep in mind, most of the indicators are not available for Ninja 8, unfortunately. But Super Trend is, I'm looking for a good AD VMXA, okay? If someone finds one, let me know. That's the key indicator. You could trade the strategy just with that alone, but we need a good ADX VMA, okay, for Ninja 8. I have something, but I haven't tested it yet, okay? There's also no reason anybody can't use Ninja 8 and Ninja 7 on the same computer. I have them on the same computer. They work. Coop, I'm not clear what you're asking me. It's during the install of Job, there was a Ninja script editor that you don't have in the free version. You don't need to edit Ninja scripts, but you need the chart trader. You must have Chart Trader to use our software because that's where we trade from, the chart. Okay? We trade from the charts. Everything we do. Bob, I missed your question. You could trade from the dome if you wanted to. I prefer with Ninja's dome. No. Steven uses the dome. Steven uses the dome. If I had a different platform, I'd use a dome, but Ninja has to me, an unusable dome. Or Steven uses the dome to watch, is what he's saying. Steven, what are you looking for on the dome? Or Steven, do you want to do what I said tomorrow? Are you available for like half an hour? Okay, folks, so here's the deal. Tomorrow, we'll get in here probably about 10ish, and we'll stay to 11. Okay? We'll trade the 10:30 trade, and then we'll trade Steven's setup for 20 minutes. That's exactly right, Bob. Please say the address again for the discount. Al, do you mean the sale we're having? Al, hang on one second. What Bob says is critically important to Steven's whole concept of the trade. Using Steven's setup, if your first target of 4 is hit, your trade is safe because of the break even and break even minus 2 trailing stop. Absolutely correct. If your first target is hit in Steven's setup, you'll make 20 bucks. Okay? Al, are you saying, okay, Al, if you stay right there, I'll send it to you. It's a great deal. If you're not a member, just tell me and I'll send you a link for an awesome deal. We're having a Super Bowl sale. There it is, Al. Position size. If you trade 5 contracts, say 3 2 and 1, does the position size. That is correct, Robin. In other words, they won't all fill at exactly the same time because there might be a slight delay. But the idea with Ninja, with the way that we've programmed our software, is you'll have multiple positions, right, that you can control individually for exiting at specific targets. In other words, Robin, the positions are connected to the targets. If, like, you know what I do on my normal trades, Robin, I do a setup where my first position is going for 4 ticks, my second position is going for 6 ticks. So that's where those positions are linked to. Okay, unless you move something on the chart. It does exactly what you're asking, Robin. Otherwise, it would just be a mess of confusion. The other thing that I had the programmer do that nobody realizes because it never happens anymore is if you get slippage on a multi-position trade, I had the programmer program it so that all the positions ignore the slippage, not ignore the slippage, but it creates one. If it's a trade where you want one position but you have multiple targets, sorry, let me say this right. If it's a trade where you have multiple contracts, one position, and there's slippage in the fills, The programmer programmed it so it will still just fill as one position. Okay? I hope that makes sense. You're not going to see three positions going for the same target ever, unless you do it manually. Okay? But what Bob said is so important. Steven's setup is safe after your first target is hit. And he'll come tomorrow for half an hour or so and talk about his setup. All right, after the 10:30 trade. So we'll have there's no trades, official trades tomorrow. So we'll do a 9:45, 9:50 trade room. I'll set it up. I'll send it out. We'll practice the 10:30 trade and we'll scalp for half an hour. How's that? Or however much time we have after the 10:30 trade. The 10:30 trade could take 10 or 15 minutes. We'll do a little bit of scalping, like today. All right. And Stephen will talk a little bit about his setup if people want to ask him questions. But I'll help people set up the charts before the trade if you need any help. So there's a trade now. Maybe. Almost had a crossover, but not. You got your red dot here. I'm late. Okay? I'm late. Do I want to be late? No. Because the candles are going green now. So I'll wait. I'll wait. Let's see if I was right. Didn't have a strong cross there. It wasn't a strong cross. Okay, I'm glad I waited. Other entry signals, the U11 creates these dashed lines. When U11 crosses price, that could be a trade entry. Entry. Okay? Signal. Put it on, it'll probably follow through. All right? It's a fun trade when it makes money. But as easy and quick as I lost 400, you could lose 400. Don't ever forget that. So put put a $250 stop on what you're willing to lose, and then wait for the next day. Right? It is going to go short, isn't it? Looks like it wants to, but we didn't get the crossover, so you really should wait. You really should wait. Anna says consolidation, right? But no yellow dots. But it might just be chopping around. So it's really a wait. You didn't get a good crossover, so it's really a wait. Okay. Better off conservative. There's a million of these trades a day. A million. Better off conservative. Wait for the good setups. We haven't even tried it on gold yet. Gold's the next index we're going to work on. Okay? Gold's the next index we're going to work on. Any last questions? I'm going to get out of here. We still have 2 trade rooms, you all. What do we have? And we lost $6. I lost $6. Should have traded the 10:30 trade, right? Lost $6. Here's our 2 trades for today. We've got we have some good trades. I'm going to stay up for the 10:30 RBA trade because it's a breakout. I think there's a chance it could work. Okay? I think there's a chance it could work. I wish I could find my file. Where's my file? Here it is. Here's the invites for the rest of the day. I'm going to stay up till 10:30 because I'm nuts. Trades for today. All right. Questions, anybody? Questions? Last chance. And then I'll see you later tonight. Any webinars coming up for getting new people up to speed? Coop, the best thing that's recommended is just continually come into the trade room. That's really how we get our people up to speed. By watching what we do here, in the matter of a week, you might see 30 trades. You're going to be up to speed in a week. Okay? There are webinars all over the place, Coop. If you send me an email, I can send you some webinars. As a member, go to our website. There's videos, lots of videos. But the best possible thing you could do is come into the trade room. Brian, the super trend default settings, because we don't change anything on it. I don't change anything on it. You want to take a picture of that, Brian? Brian, if you want to take a picture of that, that's the Anna. You got it? Okay, Coop. I'm not trying to let me give you my email so you know what my email is, but I'll give it to you again. Now, I never liked discretionary trading. I might be able to deal with this. Okay? I might be able to deal with this. I'm not a lover of discretionary trading. I mean, that's why I work for job. You're welcome, Robin. Robin, if you needed any of the files for Ninja 7, that's what I was asking you the other day. I'd be happy to send them to you. Al, you can always reach me at support. I'm the first person who sees these and the first person who answers. And my private, it's not really private, my personal email is this, and everybody has it. Okay? Robin had a problem with Ninja 8 where, and it wasn't a JOBB problem, when she put on her strategy, Ninja 8 just froze. Ninja came on, and Robin, what they tell you? There was some sort of a communication problem between Ninja 8 and the trade servers? I mean, that's sort of like what it was, right? I forgot what NCAT is. What's NCAT? There was a communication problem between NCAT and the Ninja Trader platform. And her trades weren't entering properly. So we're still thinking Ninja 7 is more reliable. But Bob's using Ninja 8 with no problems. Ninja Caters? Ah. They say it's a known issue. Robin, do you have Ninja Caters indicators from a company called Ninja Caters? Yes. Okay, that's what NCAT is. Thanks, Stephen. That's what NCAT is. So the problem is with Ninja Caters and their communication with Ninja for some reason. But it's Ninja. Right. Paul says the perfect thing. Ninja 8 shuts down, Ninja blames the custom indicators, and the custom indicator companies blame Ninja. Yeah, Paul, I know. That's why, if you're not having problems with Ninja 8, by all means use it. I myself yet have not traded live with it, but I'm not having issues yet. But I'm using 7 when it comes to money. And I'm using Rhythmic. I'm afraid to go to CQG. When I was on CQG, I did have more errors. And I don't know if it's because CQG is slower. We also live in a time, watch here, we also live in a time where it's very possible to get your internet so damn fast. So now I'm safe. Even even if it turned, you see it made 30 bucks? It turned on me. So you can always make 30 bucks. Complex indicators can cause problems, not usually what we use. Ah, I understand now, Robin. You were using the job software to enter a trade, but see, we want you to use the job software to manage your trades. So those Ninjacator indicators got to someone's got to get that fixed. We want the JOBB platform to be a general trading platform. That's what I've been heading towards with it. That's why we have this discretionary trade, so that we can reach everybody. Now we can reach everybody, not just news traders. We don't just trade the news anymore. That's the subject line of our next email. Right? Because we want to grow. We definitely want to grow. All right, last question. Tired of making money. Fake money. Tired of making fake money. See, look, you had a real nice crossover right here and a real nice little short there. That would have worked. And you would have got stopped out here, depending on your setup. Now, Steven's setup doesn't make a lot of money at times, but it's safe. So the idea with Steven's setup is you might have to trade it 10 or 12 times during the day. Okay? He trades it sometimes 29, 35, 40 times a day. And he knows it really well, like the back of his hand. So, but it's kind of cool to have a very simple little, quick little trade like that. And with his setup, like Robin says, you're managing risk, hopefully, right? He traded 50 times today and he's up $1,700. Stephen, how much in fees is coming out of that? Because that's a lot of commissions. Ballpark your fees out of that. 200? 50, Colleen. He traded 50 trades. You don't have to do that. Obviously, we're not advocating that kind of trading. It's about $200 in commissions. But if I made 1,700 a day, I'll give them 200 in commissions any day. No problem. Okay? So our goal is maybe we'll scalp for an hour a day at the best scalping time of the day for the NQ, which I think is between 10 and 11. Or if you really think about it, isn't it 9:30 and 11? That might be a great scalping time. Okay. The key is not to be over anxious. I mean, I wanted to put a trade on short right there, but I already just had that trade, right? I kind of got to wait for the next one. But it really looks like it's going to continue down. So some people would put it on right here, right? Just for fun. See if it fills and follows through. Fill, no follow through. Could be trouble, but I didn't have a signal. So, and still it followed through. If you're good with the NASDAQ, no matter what, I made a little bit of money. I'll leave it be. I'm just going to let it trail. I let it trail. Okay. He lost 180 on the 6J. All right. If you're patient, try to take the good trades. If you know you've gone wrong, you could hit the close button and get out before a full loss, right? You don't have to sit for a full loss. No law says you have to do that. Very simple little trade, like Steven says. It's a very simple little trade. Indicators that'll cost us 85 bucks, and they're well worth it. All right. I wish the NASDAQ was going up. I wish the markets were going up. My family's so upset. All right, everybody. Eagles are the world champions. It was the best birthday I ever had. It was unbelievable. That was the best football game I ever saw. I feel like we have another short trade here, but I don't have a signal. So do it right. Do it right. Watch the range. Don't trade when you don't have signals, even though it's going to work. Sometimes it'll work just because you know the NASDAQ is heading down. Do the right thing. All right, folks. I missed it. I missed it, really. I missed it. Okay? I missed it. Maybe not if the markets are going down, but you understand, look, you have a very heavy slope on the slag, on the zlag. Got a pretty heavy slope. You got a slope on the 3 and 21. Certainly doesn't feel long right now. Does not feel long. All right. Super trends heading down. MACA DVXMA is moving down. Certainly looks short, but you don't want to. It's going. It's dropping. There it goes. That would have filled us. That was our trade. It's still going. All right. It's still going, but I'm not going to chase now. This was educational. Good day to trade. Not every day is good on a Monday. Okay. Not every Monday is a good day to trade. Tuesdays are better generally. So I'll set that trade room up for tomorrow. All right. I hope a bunch of people come. Last questions? Any last questions? All right. Lisa, what do you think? It's interesting. It'll work on oil, Lisa. We just haven't set the settings yet. We just didn't do the settings yet. Oil seems to be good, but we also have something. We have a secret special thing coming out on oil. It's not going to be free though. That's the only negative, but you're going to start hearing about it. We've never done anything like that before. We're changing. We're doing extra stuff. And Lisa's right. This strategy works on anything that moves. Anything. If you like trading oil, figure out the way you want to do it. Figure out your settings, make it safe, and make a little scalp trade for yourself with oil, right? If you like gold, do the same thing. If you like the YM, you could probably make it work on the YM. I don't see why not. See how that NASDAQ just changes direction in a minute? All right, folks. We'll be back here tonight, 7:30. 7. 7. 7 o'clock. All right, folks. This will be recorded. This will be, I'll have a video in a little while. All right. I'll see everybody. You would have had a long trade there. You had the dots. It's a little tricky to go long after doing all those shorts, right? It's hard. It's hard. Got the crossover here, though. Here was the trade, right? The crossover is great. I'll get the momentum on. I'll get that momentum. And a momentum is the one indicator that I have to add. All right, folks. I'll see you all later. See you tonight. Take care, everybody.